Greetings YouTube, this is BJ Black, and this is part 11 of my Let's Play of Momu's Quest, Paradox RPG Catalyst Chapter. Today we are going to the next continent, starting with a boat ride which we're all certain will be entirely uneventful. Once the sailor has confirmed that we've got the sea god's bell, he doesn't need any fares, so we're just free to go. Goba is still not good with boats. Luke is getting really fired up with his training, even more so than Ilias would like him to be, on account of all the powerful enemies they're going from one to another with. So, Ilias is going to humor him and teach him a new technique. It is a sword technique like he requests, but it's not a attack technique. Raising his sword up and getting it to glow and stuff, he can heal one ally. Ilias reminds him not to forget his honor and respect for her. Gratitude for her, specifically. And it looks like our peaceful little voyage is going to be interrupted by a storm, but it doesn't disturb the boat, however. The artifact's good for that. However, we did know a monster was causing these storms, and if a boat can just go by the storm, they may as well attack it directly. This is Morgan, much stronger than Alma Elma, at least according to her. Ilias recognizes her, and name drops Minagi, but doesn't say anything more than that. She did see her in the Holy Wars, however. Morgan, for her part, brags about her and her sisters turning about half of the cherubim into jerky. The Holy Wars were some thousands of years ago or something, so Luke is really curious about what's going on here. But curiosity isn't going to get us anywhere when there's a fight on our hands. Morrigan's going to be really nice, and by that I mean she's just going to cruelly drag this out as much as possible by not using either of her hands or her feet. I have considered a self-imposed challenge where I start the game on Paradox difficulty and never lose a fight. It would be nearly impossible, but this would be one of the first gates, because before this point you can't grind for any of the attribute seeds. So if you can get past her, you would probably be able to do the whole thing. The only problem is if you can beat her with only 2 characters on... Oh, another part of that self-imposed challenge would be not picking up any characters you don't need to, so at this point you would have 2 characters. Now, 2 characters alone, beating her on Paradox difficulty, even at level 30, may be impossible. But it's a challenge I may not take up for quite some time, if ever. Morgan's going to be a sore loser in spite of giving us a handicap. Now she asserts that she would have let us go, except if you lose she won't. She blames us for this. On account of we won, it's our fault that that she's getting serious. So she's going to turn us into jerky as well, starting with Luca. Except disturbances upon disturbances. Her assaulting us is going to be interrupted by what we see first is this flag. Ilias recognizes it as herself, however she is offended by how badly drawn it is. So our interruption is this. An angel out to attack Morrigan. This is the seraphim Shion. Morrigan, oddly enough, shows a bit of perspective in complaining that that she must be crazy to come to this world. Or it's a bit ambiguous what she's saying here. Whether it's crazy of Shion to come to this world at all, or whether it's crazy of Shion's superior for sending her into this world. Ilias again says she doesn't know this Shion person. But she's pretty damn destructive. And Morgan starts lecturing Shion about what the hell the timeline will happen. What will happen to the timeline if even one person gets killed? They need to act indirectly in order to get their goals accomplished. Shion is smart enough to realize that there isn't much. You're not very convincing when you're a succubus giving a lecture to an angel. But anyway, Shion's simply not subtle enough to engage in that kind of stuff. She's basically a bull in a china shop at this point. But she gets Morrigan off our backs. Well, the Sea God's Bell will keep the ship from sinking due to storms or whatnot, but now that it's getting burned to their crisp, it's going to be a problem. Luke objects to bailing out of the ship, abandoning ship at this point on account of the storms kicking up again. But of course, a ship this size going down would cause a hell of a whirlpool, so Ilias is right in shoving him out. And those two shit talk a bit before getting into the real battle, which we won't get to witness. And we wake up seeing an unfamiliar ceiling. These mermaids took care of our wounds, and now we're here. This is Sonia. She was with us. She passes out with the most disturbing look on her face, but physically she's unharmed. Nudiko wasn't in our party, but she's worried about Sonia. Promestane tells us that she has dissected corpses that have died from drowning, but she hasn't ever drowned before herself. Here again, Promestane asserts that Shion's tactics are basically to charge forward blindly. Promestane also notes that this must be a Shion from another world. Well, we were saved by mermaids when we got threw ourselves off of the ship. Ilias is greatly ashamed that she had to receive help from monsters. But in any case, we got to our destination. Everybody seems to be fine. Even the sailors were saved by the mermaids. So, Morrigan. And that angel that attacked us. Ilias wasn't able to see much more than Luca on account of she can't actually swim. And she'll say yet again that she doesn't know who this Shion angel is. Asserting that she does not exist in this world. Now, of course, then there's Morrigan, who existed at one point but was already destroyed. Now Luke asks if these characters can also move between worlds the way that he and his dad can. But Ilias says it must be something else. The ability Luca has is not something that will be that common. They must have found some other way to traverse worlds. Promestine, for instance, ended up in Tartaros due to an accident in an experiment. So certain knowledgeable people may be able to find a way to get through intentionally. Sonia's awake now. So we're off. Ilias says our first destination is San Ilia. She describes it as the epicenter of her faith. So it's basically like a country full of her servants. Luca has the sense to think to himself that they aren't going to believe that she's actually the goddess. The mermaids do have something to say. Nataliaport here has a big incident ongoing. And Ilias decides to tell Luca to ignore them. I'd call that Ilias' character moment, but she's going to have better ones. Currently there are a lot of mermaids and fishermen missing. It started several months ago. A mermaid named Maya went missing when she headed down to the Seafloor Temple. In the South Seas, the South Sea Queen has a temple at the bottom of the sea. About 20 mermaids in total are missing, and about 50 fishermen. So we get to research the Seafloor Temple and figure out what's causing the disappearances. Accepting the quest, and Ilias also admits that she wants to solve this for the sake of the fishermen, although she explicitly says she doesn't give a shit about the mermaids. Luca points out that this is on the seafloor and most of us can't breathe underwater. But with this item we can get down there. we can reach the Seafloor Temple at a point on Natalia Beach to the west. So this is Nataliaport. If you manage to get a mimic to join your party, if you put her in your party and talk to this guy, you can get a small medal out of it. I don't want to try recruiting a mimic because on account of them being about as tough as a boss at this point, it's pretty dangerous, and since there are only a limited number of them, I would have to resort to save scumming. Well, the reason this guy gives the small medal in the first place is because he got one off of a mimic. Mimics are one of only 2 enemies that might drop small medals. This here is our 2 fox girls. If you recruit the both of them and come to various points on this continent, you get to have Kitsune Senpai lesson time, where Kamura asks Kitsune a simple question, and Kitsune doesn't know the answer, so she makes something up. Today we get to learn why the sea is so wide. And Kitsune will tell us that it's because a long time ago, a lot of rain fell. Kamuro is impressed. Kitsune Senpai really does know everything. I'm going to leave off on speaking to Usa for the moment. And this is Mary, our sheep girl, getting drunk again. She likes this kind of atmosphere with the mermaids and everything. But honestly, getting drunk is its own reward for her. Barney accuses her of causing trouble again. Asks how many glasses she's had, but no answer here. Mary just complains that Barney should give her a break. Standard turnaround. Barney says that Mary should be giving us a break, and drags her off. Let's see. Another thing to get in town. Here in the inn, you can find a small medal right here. And that'll be it for the moment. There are 2 things we get to do in the Mao Castle, however. First, now that we've come to this continent, Vanilla will strike upon what she wants to get in her shop next. This time it's shuriken. And if we talk here, according to the wiki, there should be something popping up new here. Nope. So I guess we get to do this scene without it. Supposedly if you hit that bulletin board and then came here, you could get an achievement. But we're just going to see the scene anyway without whether there's an achievement or not. So this is our Usa. She's eating a bunch of carrots here. She likes eating carrots, but she's concerned that even eating all these carrots, she doesn't become a rabbit. Well, that's not what carrots do, but she's convinced otherwise. But we do have someone who can help. Promestine introduces herself to Usa and offers to let her research better fulfill Usa's requirements. Now anybody else would be suspicious, but this is Usa we're talking about, so she's more than willing. One injection and she can become a magic beast instead of a standard slime. Usa knows what this stuff is. It's called Ninjin X. Except Promestine starts to explain that it's something else entirely. But clearly feels that an explanation would be useless, so yeah, sure, it's Ninjin X. It's Carrot X. So, one injection later, she is now able to growl, apparently. Usa is one of the rare characters who gets the chance to change to a race that she doesn't have in the beginning. With this, she can become not only a slime, but a magic beast. Promestine can explain about this, but she's mostly talking to herself. Beast-type monster DNA, etc., etc. She does explain that over at the job change shack, you can change her back to Slime Girl at any time. Usa's really excited to be able to growl now, even though she doesn't seem to know that rabbits don't normally growl. But she's happy with it, so we'll call it good. And now that we've accepted the quest for Ilias' next item, we can come here where they sell shurikens. Vanilla introduces herself and starts to try negotiations, but this merchant happens to have an exclusive contract with his supplier. On account of it, he can't introduce Vanilla in, although I strongly suspect he's doing this for his own monopoly profits. But anyway, we'll get turned away, but Vanilla decides not to give up. So we get to speculate on somebody else who might know somebody who can do it. This guy here will explain something about shuriken, and that ninja, the job class, can throw them, but other classes can't. However, in this chapter you won't get the chance to get permission slips to switch to the job class, so if it's not a character that already had the ninja job at the beginning of the game, you can't job change to a ninja. There are actually only 3 characters you'll be able to get in this chapter who can do ninja stuff. We got 2 of them in the last chapter, actually. But Vanilla's quest. This guy here, a bored-looking samurai, makes shuriken, which strikes me as a little odd because samurai and ninja are completely different things historically. Unless I've got things completely wrong. But this samurai happens to make shuriken, and he can sell them to Vanilla and she'll pass them on into her shop. So that step of our quest done, we can move on to Nataliaport's quests. This is Natalia Beach, and there are treasure chests scattered around like most places, so they can go treasure hunting or head straight for the Seafloor Temple, which you can get to from this point of light. But I'm going to turn our encounters back on for a second, because there's an important enemy type you can encounter here. Not this one. You guys may recall the attribute seeds I explained about quite some time ago. This character, the Clam Girl, you can steal defense seeds from. When you steal, you more likely get a more common steal, but perhaps 20% of the time, perhaps less, that a steal succeeds, you'll get a defense seed. Bear in mind, of course, that once you steal from a given enemy, you have to get into another encounter. Each enemy you encounter can only be stolen from once. So now that I've shown you that, we will head to the Seafloor Temple. Just a bit of warp magic. There should be pretty strong monsters about, so we're going to turn our encounters back off. Wait a minute, why is Luca in front? Now, in here you can talk to the mermaids and they can give you... This group of mermaids doesn't give you any information, but this second group of mermaids down here will tell you that Maya, the first mermaid to disappear, is actually behind this. Which isn't much explanation, but it's more than we had before. That last line was Minnie spouting a Japanese pun. Well, a pun combined with a Japanese idiom. Here you can get a small medal. And this mermaid escaped from the bars, somehow. However, she got lost and ended up in the bottom somehow. But she can restore life and MP. Bunch of kids, but they got nothing to say to us. And here we have Maya. She tells us that she is the Queen of the South Seas. Ilias says that's not correct. And Maya reiterates herself. She is the Queen of the South Seas. So we ask about the missing fishermen, and that's what these boys are. She has euthaned them. And we are quite surprised by this. So Luca demands their release. Maya's not going to do that because she is the Queen of the South Seas. Yeah, Ilias probably isn't the first person to figure out that there's something funny going on here. And Maya says it again. We will call this today's character moment for Ilias. As she says, we get to beat her to a bloody pulp. It can't be helped after all. We need to return her to her senses. A more or less typical boss fight. And that's a win for us. So now we get to hear the explanation. Maya starts recovering her memories quite quickly. So as you remember, several months ago she came down here to deliver a marriage application to this Queen of the South Seas. What she found, however, was this. A succubus. Astaroth, to be specific. The Queen of the South Seas is here, however. She's been changed into a squid. A normal-sized squid, not like the giant squid she usually is. So Astaroth has transformed her into the smallest and weakest form she could. But she isn't dead. But they do need a Queen of the South Seas, so Astaroth decides that Maya will do. Hypnotizing glance, and now she's convinced that and now she's been, duly appointed as the Queen of the South Seas and all. Astaroth says that this is usually Lilith's shtick, but she's kind of got to rely on this because she can't act directly. At this point, she says that this won't even become a third order contact, severed world contact. And she does let slip that her goal is to get the people of this world to destroy the world themselves. Well, we forgive her because she wasn't herself at the time. Although she still feels really guilty about it. In any case, we'll return to the surface. So now we're getting really concerned about the Lilith sisters. This would be, yes, the third incident they've been involved in. Ilias's conversation there was not her usual stuff, but actually just being honestly excited about receiving rewards, which is normal for adventure parties. So, the story's been spread about town properly. And while it was really weird that she had all those fishermen turned into kids, for her own gratification, we'll say, and the mermaids can't really say anything about that. Maybe mermaids just like kids. Anyway, here's some rewards. So we also get to go talk to Maya. At this mermaid's request. And conveniently, she's not far away. Yet another kid. However, this kid isn't her son, this is her lover. Or I wonder if that marriage application really went through. In any case, he claims to be her husband, and also to be 25 years old. So Maya's just overcome with guilt and wants to do something. Oh, she also hands over the Queen of the South Seas. This looks the same as the items we can eat, but this is put in the key items, so we won't actually eat it. Which doesn't stop Ilias from suggesting a sauce and a cooking method. Luca immediately asks how we can return her to normal. However, Ilias tells us that we don't have the power for that. And also that she doesn't want to. But at least she knows to put the first one first. You know, maybe this is progress towards her not hating monsters so much. And having received the queen, Maya talks about how guilty she is and how she wants to do something. So she's going to join our party as well. She specializes in restoration magic, apparently. The husband here whines about being left alone. The way he speaks is unusually like a kid as well. Ah yes. Finally, now that we've done that, this fisherman here will thank us for solving the disappearances problem by giving us another small medal. And that should do us for Nataliaport. Next up is the Luddite village. However, its quest starts over here in San Ilias, so that is where we will be going tomorrow. Once more, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, YouTube.